You found the STIHL National Championship Air Races presented by Reno Tahoe.
Get ready for it, ladies and gentlemen. We're taking you to the place where you can watch the fastest motorsport racing on earth, the STIHL National Championship Air Races here in Reno. 6 different classes in this iconic event in all the world of motorsports, and they're going to be deciding national championships today. Today, it's all about taking the gold, reigning at the top of the mountain in your particular class. So pick your favorites. If you haven't got one already, Tommy Sanders here with air show pilot and announcer, the Wild Thing, Steve Stavrakakis. Steve, great to have you with us.
Tommy, thanks. It's always great to be at Reno Race Week. Our races today are going to take place on 3 distinctly different courses. Our Unlimited Jets and Sports will be on the long course, which is 8 miles. T6 is on the mid course at 5 miles, and biplanes and Formula Ones on the short course directly in front of the grandstands at 3.5 miles in length, which is where we're heading right now. All races will culminate at the STIHL start-finish pylon.
Well, that's where we are to start this Formula One race here.
Race control, activate STIHL ramp code 1.
This is where a lot of the sport got started years back, these tiny planes. But these are not relics out here. These planes are totally up to date, Steve.
Yeah, these are all state of the art. They started in 1936 as the midget racing class, but all these airplanes out here in the gold race, they're full of carbon fiber, tapered wings, and high-tech technology, all of which will be utilized in this Grand Prix style standing start. This is where a lot of planning comes into play, because changing the pitch of the prop is like changing gears on your bicycle, but you have to choose one gear. They're not allowed to change pitch of the prop. These are fixed pitch propellers. That engine usually makes about 100 horsepower on a Cessna 150. These guys are making over 160 plus horsepower using them on these Formula One racers. They do this by using a short prop, about half the size of a normal prop, turning them up to almost 4,500 RPMs.
All right, take a look at this. Steve Senegal, the Endeavor Race 11, passing Vito Wyprektiger, moving into 3rd place. Steve Senegal, you'll remember, has won 6 of these national championships, and it looks like his setup is right today. A good prop choice on this day, the gold race.
Race 31, downwind of beam with gear.
Right now, an early going in these 8 laps we're doing around our 3-mile course. It's been Philip Goforth of Midland, Texas, with the early lead there. We'll talk about some of the other favorites right there. Right behind him is Lowell Slater, last year's defending champion in F1, so certainly a salty competitor there. And the man behind him, Steve Senegal, falls into that category too.
Now you'll notice these airplanes have a lot of distinctive different looks, but they again are limited to fixed gear with a fixed pitch prop. The aircraft has to weigh at least 500 pounds. The pilot with gear has to weigh at least 150 pounds, and they can choose about any wing they want so long as it has 66 square foot of wing area. Keep all this in perspective. These airplanes weigh less than a Harley-Davidson motorcycle.
All right, Goforth still with the lead, but through the last few minutes, boy, making ground on him. Lowell Slater, last year's defending champion, and look at this. Slater setting it up and taking it down right there. Great pass over Goforth, and look at this. Steve Senegal, who spent most of last year chasing Lowell Slater, also passes Philip Goforth.
Now there's a great example. Philip Goforth may have used a flatter pitch propeller to get in the air and off the ground quicker. However, now he's stuck in that low gear, and these guys with a higher pitch propeller and the higher gear are reeling him in and passing him.
So Lowell Slater, a decorated pilot in this class, certainly got to be the favorite coming in there, although we have some that came up through the heats there to get in here with good performances. Guys like Steve Temple and Ross Killen, they're not showing up at the top 2 positions in our race so far.
You know, earlier in the week and in our silver race, we talked about and we showed you some of the earlier cassette and shoestring racers. These were steel tube fuselages, wooden wings with fabric covering. Our gold racers are all high-tech, a lot of carbon fiber, a lot of speed mods.
Slater still in command right here. And Slater, of course, last year, 2016, made easy work of the rest of the field, just sort of marched his way to the gold title here. And he's had the fastest qualifying time in this race week in 2017 as well. We talked to him about today's prospects.
Well, we're exactly where we want to be. We were the fastest qualifier and we won Heat 1, so it's much cooler this morning. The density altitude was only 6,400 feet. Last year in the gold race, it was 8,000 feet, so quite a bit different meteorological conditions this morning.
White flag, white flag.
Little bit technical there, Steve. Explain for us non-pilot folks why he likes the cooler air better.
Tommy, in simple terms, high air or hot air is thin air. Thin air means there's less air for the propeller to bite. less air for the engine to ingest, less air to cool the engine, and less air for those wings to make lift. It works against our pilots and planes several-fold.
All right, it's sort of the same principle that's at work when they cancel flights out of Phoenix when it's 120 degrees, right?
Absolutely.
Race number 31, Lowell Slater of Buell, Idaho in the freight knot. Just absolutely bringing this thing home for the second year in a row. And for the second year in a row, he is closing out in second place right now. Steve Senegal with so many national championships under his belt. But it's all about Lowell Slater today, going past the steel start-finish pylon there. He is your champion, gold champion in Formula One here in Reno. There you go, the final numbers. Lowell Slater closing out the old pro Steve Senegal to take the gold title here in Reno. That'll close out the gold in Formula One, but plenty more on the way when we come back. Some very tight racing. These fast-moving former trainers, the T6 class. We return to Reno.
The STIHL National Championship Air Races are proudly presented by Reno Tahoe. Check out visitRenoTahoe.com. Travel Nevada, don't fence me in. And brought to you by STIHL, the #1 selling brand of gasoline-powered handheld outdoor power equipment in America. You found the STIHL National Championship Air Races, presented by Reno Tahoe.
Back in Reno and ready to race. You know, you talk about Reno, you talk about the great river towns in America. Memphis, St. Louis, Jacksonville. This may be the most scenic, the most impressive and glittering of all of them. The fabulous Truckee River as it flows out of Lake Tahoe, down through the mountains, right through the center of Reno and out into the desert. It's the focus of the incredible destination known as the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada, and we are ready for some, well, they might be mild-mannered trainers back in war days, but boy, they have been turned into racing machines, Steve, the T6 class.
I don't know about mild-mannered. They're big, they're heavy, they're top-heavy, and they always said you should probably learn in a fighter first, then go to the T6. They're a handful, but not in the hands of our ace pilots here this year.
This is our gold race, and we're going to be doing 6 laps around our medium course, Steve.
That's right, our pace plane is going to bring them from west to east. When they get onto the course, our pace plane is going to pitch up out of the formation, bring them down. As they get to our Reno steel start-finish pylon, the racers are on the course, and they get ready for that sharp left turn onto the course.
2017 T6 Gold Racers are inbound for the race course. Gentlemen, you are released to the course.
The start of the T6s always makes me nervous, Tommy. Watch as these airplanes bunch up around the first turn. There are wings everywhere.
You, me, and a lot of folks watching are nervous. The pilots seem to be unfazed by all of this. They're into the racing, and they are racing hard. If you had to pick a favorite, well, starting into this, it's got to be Nick Macy. He has certainly dominated everyone else coming through the heats during race week.
Well, he and Dennis Buin both have 6 national championships apiece, but all week long, this blue and yellow airplane's been nipping at their rudders. That's John Lomar. Every time they look in their mirror, on their 6 is John Lomar. Again, here's somebody with no victories at all, no world titles, no championships, chewing on the rudder of a 6-time champion one more time.
Take a look inside the cockpit of race 43, Dennis Buin, another 6-time national champion. He talked about heating things up in this championship gold race, and he wasn't joking. The heat inside these T6 cockpits flying can be oppressive.
The temperature inside the airplane with that big Pratt & Whitney heater up front puts out quite a bit of heat. You know, the temperatures in there can be about 140 or 150 degrees. You know, that time on the race course, you're just focused and making sure all the temps pressures are good. You know, and sometimes we get up to the boiling point. When the temperatures are hot here in Reno, it can get pretty hot for both you and the airplane itself.
Buin maintaining 3rd place. I guess air conditioning is out of the question, right, Steve?
That's right, Tommy. Now, unique to the T6s is that loud crackling sound you hear. That's actually not the engine. The low rumble is that Pratt & Whitney radial engine. The crackling noise you hear are the propeller tips of that 109-inch metal 2-blade propeller going supersonic and actually making miniature sonic booms. Yeah, there's no mistaking the sound of a T6, especially on the race course.
688 on your right.
And look at this, John Lomar has taken the lead for the first time this week. A guy with no national championships under his belt, but halfway through this race, passing 6-time national champion Nick Macy. Tight racing here in Reno.
Not yet, John. Not yet.
Now, it appears that Nick Macy does have the preferred line being on the inside. He's flying a shorter course, but it looks like John Lomar is actually in the lead.
I think the crowd is onto that too and expressing their appreciation as they pass the start-finish line. What a treat they are being given today in this T6 Gold race. This is a total duel between John Lomar in the 88 and number 6 Nick Macy.
I got you, 89. That's the lead.
Lomar just getting passed by Macy again here. This is such a great race here out in front of the rest of these competitors in T6 class. 6 championships versus no national championships, and Lomar doing his best to change that even as we speak. He's trying to make the pass right now. I'm sure this is a lot of fun and exhilarating, but also very pressure-packed for these guys because they're coming down to it. A little bit more than a lap left, Steve. You can't make any mistakes at this point.
Well, you know, and Lomar is obviously faster in the straightaway. Macy's quicker in the turns because he has that inside line. 2 more turns and 1.5 straightaways left. What's going to be the deciding factor here? Because they get ready to pass the steel start-finish pylon. Lomar's got him one more time. Now they're on the bell lap. They are on the final lap.
White flag, white flag.
Macy's got another turn here with a shorter course. Lomar's got 1 more full straightaway to try and reel him in. He then has to stay with him or ahead of him in that last turn that Macy's has been flying better than John has. Okay, here we go.
Again, the black plane, Nick Macy, the favorite coming into this race. John Lomar, if he's able to pull it off, that would definitely qualify as an upset.
This is the last full straightaway. Let's see if John Lomar can reel him in. He's trying to catch up on him. Keep in mind, Macy's on the inside line. He's going to have the shorter course around this final turn. We've got 1 turn and half a straightaway left. Okay, wingtip to wingtip as they come around. Okay, Lomar looks like he's in pretty good shape, but then again, Macy's still on the inside line, the shorter course.
Oh, we are getting down to the final seconds of this race right here.
Okay.
Got to get a little closer so we can see who's ahead.
When the wings go level, we have half a straightaway. They're going to shove the noses down. They're going to trade altitude for airspeed as they dive for the steel start-finish pylon. Can Lomar do it?
Is he trying to hang on? And it is Lomar! Lomar caught it!
Pulled it out at the last minute.
Race 88, John Lomar from Dallas, Texas. 11 years at it here, and this is the first time in the winner's circle, and it's a gold win.
That was a very exciting race. I'm still jumpy from all the adrenaline. Yeah, it was. Nick flies a great line. He's a great competitor, and it was, I mean, you saw it. It was everything I could do to stay with him. And I think I unloaded, and I just caught him, I mean, less than half an airplane length to the finish line.
Well, 11 years knocking at the door, and finally a trip to the winner's circle with a gold jacket. The gold winner, John Lomar of Dallas, Texas, 7/100ths of a second faster than the 6-cat plane right there. Coming up next, they are sleek. They got all kinds of tech working for them, and they are super deceptively fast. The sport class is coming up.
You're watching the STIHL National Championship Air Races presented by Reno Tahoe.
Who is the fastest drone racer for 2017 in America?
Besides planes racing this week, we have drones. For 3 days, the top 150 drone pilots in the nation gathered here in Reno. 4 pilots in one final technical race to determine the multi-GP drone racing national championship.
Oh my gosh, that was the most epic racing I've ever done.
For $10,000.
Great crowds all week long during race week, but this is the big day, the final day of racing. This is gold racing today for national titles. This is the sport class, getting ready to go and decide a national championship.
One of the most popular classes out here with 37 entrants that are going so fast, we had to put them on the unlimited course. They'll be running the 8-mile course. They also have a pace plane now that is a jet-powered pace plane. Let's see what it looks like from the pilot's perspective.
Nice line for gold. Speed coming up. 20 seconds to release. Continue. Line looks good. Bring it on. Ladies and gentlemen, Sport Gold, you have a race. 6 and 47 clear.
Not take much watching of this race to see how fast these little planes are, bumping up against 400 miles an hour. And of the 37 hopefuls who showed up here in Reno for race week, we're down to 9 for this gold race here. And leading the way, as he has all the way through race week, is number 39, Jeff Laval.
Yeah, Jeff blew us away last year when he broke the 400-mile-an-hour mark in an airplane that you can build in your garage. And I literally mean you can build it in your garage. This airplane weighs less than a Volkswagen Beetle. It falls under the kit plane category, which means the sport class can be anything that's kit or amateur built. It has to be powered by an internal combustion engine totaling no more than 1,000 cubic inch, and the airplane has to be able to do at least 200 miles an hour, which is not a problem for Jeff Laval. You know, this is a class that encourages out-of-the-box ideas and thinking. While most of our pilots are running the Lycoming and Continental 6-cylinder air-cooled engines, we have seen V8 automobile engines in the past, V12 engines in the past, and some exotic radial engines. They do encourage superchargers, turbochargers, and funny fuel. Matter of fact, a few years ago, we even had a leaf blower in the back seat being used as a makeshift turbocharger.
Jeff Laval holding on to that lead right now. That's a very familiar sight if you've been following this class through race week. Andrew Findlay hanging with Jeff Laval, sort of. Jeff Findlay staying pretty high here. Of course, you can't get over 250 feet, and that would constitute leaving the race course.
That's right, 250-foot max, 50-foot hard deck for a minimum.
30 Mayday. Wind at 240 at 7. Attention all aircraft emergency in progress.
Yeah, just as we feared, Andrew does have an emergency. He has declared a mayday. All of our pilots are trained that in case of an emergency, altitude is your friend. Right now is what Andrew's going to do is going to climb up over the center of the airport, so he has a choice of runways depending on the severity of his mayday.
Mitchell aircraft emergency has been terminated.
Well, Andrew was in second place. Now that means Vicki Bensing, plane number 6, takes over second. As one of the few female pilots here in race week, she is our pilot profile, presented by Travel Nevada. Don't fence me in.
So this race team is an all-girl race team. The owner is a woman, female pilot. We're racing for all the girls here.
The fact that there's only 6% of all pilots are female is a terrible upside demographic. I'd like to change that in what little way I can. And one is being able to show younger girls or women even that this is an option. You can pilot your own plane, you can pilot your own jet.
I was racing much slower airplanes. She cold called me, asked me if I wanted to race her airplane because she wanted a female pilot.
It's something that's empowering, and you get to fly some of the coolest stuff there is with the max horsepower.
The young women also don't have role models for this kind of stuff, so it's really important for everyone to have role models, but especially for young girls, I think.
White flag, white flag.
We enter the white flag lap. It's great to hear from Vicki Bensing. Definitely a player, a big-time player here in race week. She'll be racing later in our Jet Gold race team.
That's right. Now, Jeff Laval has turned this into a one-man race one more time, just like he did last year. Now, let's go to the cockpit, and let's see what it looks like to go 380 miles an hour or 2 football fields per second in an airplane you can build in your garage. The turbos are wound up and working well.
An extraordinary airplane. You see the gas bottle there. That's not oxygen. That's nitrous oxide introduced into the aspiration system of the airplane to improve performance, and that's totally legal in this class, right, Steve?
Definitely is. In fact, the sport class encourages this type of out-of-the-box thinking to go faster.
All right, well, looking for now his 6th national championship, winning the gold here, just seconds away for Jeff Laval from Mukilteo, Washington. His Super Glass Air 3, bringing it right past the crowd here.
Checkered flag.
And there it is, your champion, gold champion here in Reno, Jeff Laval. Race 39, the Super Glass Air 3. Look at that time, he's been doing that all week long. 30 miles an hour or so faster than the rest. Absolutely dominant in the sport class, your gold champion. This week at Reno. Coming up next, we're going back to a design that goes all the way back to the dawn of aviation, but these are very sophisticated planes when you look a little closer. Biplane action, gold, coming up. Welcome back. It is the STIHL National Championship Air Races from Reno Tahoe. How about this fact? Reno Tahoe, the largest concentration of ski resorts in North America. Also over 40 golf courses within 90 minutes of the airport. Now, think about that. You can ski in the morning. In the afternoon, you could go and play golf. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't get any better than that, and it doesn't get much more original than this. This is the goal category of a plane design that was the whole show at the start of aviation.
Green flag, green flag.
Ready to go right now. Steve, the setup, you can take chances here. You can roll the dice, but it doesn't always work out.
That's right. If the race is long enough, somebody with a higher pitch prop, essentially starting in that higher gear, can reel you in, because you're going to run into that airspeed wall if you start out with too flat a pitch. But now keep in mind, the airplane that has dominated the biplane class in the last 20 years has been Tom Aberley's airplane, the Phantom. He has 10 wins since 2004, averaging 25 miles an hour faster than the competition. Tom's not flying it this year. Andrew Buehler is, and he has a championship in this very same airplane already as well.
Andrew Buehler has to be a favorite. Also a favorite, Jake Stewart, in the last sort of race leading up to this goal race, Heat 2A of biplane. He was the winner of that one, averaging almost 210 miles an hour. That's fast in a biplane.
You know, earlier this week, Andrew Buehler ran away with the heat race only to be disqualified for flying too high. Much like Icarus and Daedalus, there is a penalty for flying too high.
And they are members of what? The Greek Air Force, I believe.
The original Greek Air Force, yes.
I love it, love it.
240 at 5.
Buehler out to a healthy lead. Here's a good battle going on right here, though, for second place. The white plane there, that is Jake Stewart. Jake Stewart won our race leading up to this one by plane 3A, and he's going up against Eric Zine. They are neck and neck trying to get that second place spot. Zine has the advantage for the moment here. Eric Zine was a player last year. He finished runner-up to champion Jeff Rose, and immediately after the race, Rose's plane crashed into his, totaled Rose's plane, and did some serious damage to Eric Zine's plane.
His rebuilt airplane, he said he's picked up a couple miles an hour quicker than he was last year, but that's not going to make up the 30 miles an hour faster that Andrew Buehler is going right now in Phantom. Now, the Phantom is a highly modified Mong sport racer, whereas our second, third place airplanes are more the conventional modified Pitts special racer. They've got steel tube fuselages, wooden wings with fabric covering, but just not in the race caliber that the Phantom is.
Race champ passing number 17.
Well, Eric Zine got his hands full trying to hang on to second. Oh, now he's not in second place anymore. He's been passed by Jake Stewart. That's a big development. Behind our leader, Andrew Buehler, race 62, way out in the lead against these two.
Hard to believe they're all under the same guidelines, but yet the Phantom is still just that much faster. An easy 20 to 30 miles an hour, depending on the day, faster than most other biplanes.
Well, again, this plane Buehler is flying, Phantom, has won 10 championships over the last 13 years by speeds up to and over 250 miles an hour. Speeds unheard of at the beginning of aviation, when biplanes were used extensively on all sides. Back when World War I broke out in 1914, over 100 years ago. You couldn't get much power then out of a relatively lightweight engine, but you could get a good bit of lift because you had not one wing, but two of them.
White flag, white flag.
Originally the biplane configuration was a way to have structural integrity by using the flying wires, the wing struts, and the double wings to kind of box section it, kind of like a box kite to keep for strength. While our current biplane racers share the same concept, that's about where it ends, especially when you look at the speeds these guys are turning compared to the early days of aviation.
The wind is 220 at 7.
Andrew Buehler, 20 miles an hour on average, faster than the rest of the field, absolutely having no problem as we are in the final lap of competition here. All he's got to do is get it to the barn mistake-free, and he will be your gold champion as he heads for the final turn on the race course.
They set out last year, but boy, did they come back and make another statement. This will be the 11th win for this amazing aircraft, the highly modified Mong sport that we know as the Phantom.
Checkered flag, checkered flag.
Andrew Buehler, Olalla, Washington, taking this one here with gold. We saw Jake Stewart pass Eric Zine early on in this race. He was able to hang on to that for second place. Of course, third place, Eric Zine, followed by Michael Stewart and Jeff Rose. That's all. That's gold in that category right there. We're ready for a faster category, really faster. The Jet final gold round coming up when we return.
448, going up on your right side.
It's the STIHL National Championship Air Races, presented by Reno Tahoe.
Welcome back to our host city. This is where the nation's largest alpine lake meets the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada. Over 300 days of sunshine every year makes it one of the 10 sunniest cities in America. And man, does it draw the crowds. And here on the final day of race week, crowds are waiting on this, the Jet Gold race that decides which team will hold that national championship. These guys represent the fastest motorsport on the planet. They are our Reno Tahoe Top Guns.
We fly 8 and 9 airplanes 50 feet off the ground at absolutely their max speed limit in a non-cooperative formation. So there's a lot of dynamics and trust that's built between the pilots and the pilots that you are flying with. So there's a lot of work that actually goes into the camaraderie that we put into the different teams and how we interact. You see us jazzing the other pilots, but the camaraderie, the friendship, the trust that we have in our competitor is you wouldn't do this without that kind of trust. It's more exhilarating than you can imagine. It's probably the most exciting, thrilling thing I have ever done.
Pace is coming left. Good job, Jet Racers. Bring it up when you can, lock. We're going to start our acceleration here, guys. Hold the 7,500. Looking good, Jet Racers. Hold what you got. 320 knots. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2017 Embraer-sponsored Jet Gold Race.
Everything you've done in race week has been prelude to this right here, the ultimate moment, the final race, the gold race. We have 8 airplanes in it right now, and this, you don't leave anything on the table here, Steve.
No, right now they're going down the chute. Okay, they're going to go to the guide pylon. They have to stay in their respective lanes. Once at the guide pylon, they can make that sharp left turn right about now, and now it's race on, Tommy.
Race number 5, expect that one to be out very, very fast. Rick Vanham in the American Spirit, the winningest of all the planes in this gold final right there. In second place all week long has been that plane, Zach McNeil, in the little Vampire, the twin boom jet right there. And he has given some good chase to the number 5 plane right now.
What a great shot from the cockpit of David Kohler's L39 as he's got a front row seat to this jet duel in the desert.
STIHL code number 7 is now activated. Repeating, STIHL code number 7 is now activated.
L39 still out in front, but just barely ahead of Zach McNeil, Corpus Christi, Texas. Thrilled to be in this position in the gold race. Still can't get the upper hand on this. This is going to be a hard job if you're going to do that during the course of these 6 laps.
You know, a couple years ago, Pete Zaccanino took one of the little Vampire jets to victory here in Jet Gold. Let's see if Zach McNeil could do the same thing. Not if Rick Vanham has anything to say about it. He and Mike Steiger have kept this airplane out in front all week long. Again, this is the pride of Ed Knowles' fleet, American Spirit, race number 5, which ironically has 5 World Jet Championships to its record, 3 with this pilot, Rick Vanham, and 2 with our shuttle commander, Kurt Brown, back in 2002 and 2004.
15 to 38, I'm on your right.
The previous races here in the jet class during race week, well, this plane's been a little more dominant, even in the early laps like we are right now, lap 2 of 6, but right now, getting a little bit of pressure, especially from the number 44 Vampire, piloted by Zach McNeil.
Boy, Zach McNeil would love to have a Pipper and a rocket right about now, but that's all he's going to get is to look right up the tailpipe of American Spirit. Look how close they are.
Dickie up tight on your wing.
10, you're clear.
Again, this is the fastest class out here during race week, bumping up and above 500 miles an hour. In fact, the rule is you can't go over 525. They wouldn't make a rule like that if you couldn't get there.
About 10 years ago, to be exact, that's when our speed started getting up to the point that the FAA felt these jets were starting to overfly the safe capability of the course, and they put the 525 mile an hour limit on the course.
Jet base, runway 26, clear line wind 280 at 7.18.
Of course, this is the big course here, 8 miles in length. We're going around 6 times, so we'll get right under 50 miles total for this race, this gold race.
Almost 3 football fields per second is what they're traveling right now, Tommy.
Pretty darn good racing, and positions 1 and 2 in this 8-plane field right here. David Kohler's hanging there in 3rd place.
448, going up on your right side.
Look at this right now. McNeil's getting passed by Kohler, and he can see it all happening in the shadows out there on the race course, and there it happening up in the air.
Boy, what a pass with authority. Look at him go.
Well, that's going to be it, our Dash Digital Cash pass of the day. Watch this one more time. Look at the shadows on the desert floor as Zach McNeil watches what happens to him unfold.
closure speed as Killer Colors L39 overtakes the Vampire. I bet the Vampire wishes he had that afterburner at this point.
That is fast. David Culler in the L39, race number 8, moving out there. Watch this one in the air if you want some real impressive footage right there. All this stuff from the cockpit, we are getting such good viewpoints of this race right here, and that gives us a greater appreciation for these pilots. They have so much to take care of with controls and surfaces and so forth.
White flag, white flag.
Yet they have to be aware of what's happening around them.
Well, it's what Rick Vandeman is aware of right now. He's aware of the fact he's got about 6.5 miles to go to wrap up his 4th Jet Championship. He knows he can't lose this himself. He's got to keep his head in the game. Don't get lax, don't cut a pylon, and above all, don't fly too low or too high. Other than that, no problem.
They've just about got this job wrapped up as they head in to the final turn, an American Spirit.
Wings level and the valley speed one more time as he rounds pylon 7, 8, 9 to give this amazing aircraft 6 world championships in the jet class. Rick Vandeman, your 2017 jet class winner.
Checkered flag, lining runway 26.
Yeah, we all listen as he goes by there, the start-finish pylon in there. Your gold champion is Rick Vandeman, and Zach McNeil will take second place honors here. But look at that overall speed. American Spirit almost 25 miles per hour on average, faster than the rest of the field. When we come back, the final race of the final day of racing here in Reno. All eyes are on a collision course between these two top teams in Unlimited Gold.
You found the STIHL National Championship Air Races presented by Reno Tahoe.
Oh, you have got to get yourself some time in your life to Reno Tahoe to see this incredible race. Lots of reasons to come to Reno. The action moves on in Reno all day and all night. That's what's drawn the crowds here on race week. They've come from all around the world to not only experience the racing, but the history that surrounds aviation. On hand this week, the crowd was honored to have several of the Tuskegee Airmen who were on hand to experience race week firsthand.
It's really a refreshing experience to come here and see planes that we were flying back 70 years ago. Still moving around and flying just like they were. It's almost impossible. It's really a gratifying experience.
Squadron after squadron out of Tuskegee, flying P-40s first, tough little planes, then striking with Thunderbolts, P-47s, then riding the Mustangs, P-51s.
Here for the first time, Negro aviation cadets were being groomed to fly warplanes of a unit which was then a unit and fought only, the 99th Pursuit Squadron.
We were an all-blank organization, and we felt very strongly that our success would really help the United States to change a lot of its ways and mores, and that we would be a much better country if we were successful, and was basically the key to the success of what is now known as the Tuskegee Airmen.
So much of our past is wrapped around aviation and race week here, and so much history represented in this, our final race class, the Unlimited class. By far, all eyes are on the top 2 planes, both long-range fighter-bomber Mustangs that have outpaced this field by 50 to 60 miles an hour.
It's flat speed. I mean, this thing is fast. If that engine's running, you will be amazed. And the sad part is, see, Steve over there used to fly for us, so he knows what it's about.
The airplane's running great, Strager's running great, so the next challenge is getting these things to live through Sunday.
But I also know that I have arguably the best pilot around the pylons who's going to be on my right wing when we're coming down the chute.
Obviously, I have more faith in ours, which is why we're going to beat them come Sunday.
Yeah, we just feel sorry for our competition.
It's a little bit of a chess match. There's going to be some strategy going on.
For sure, there's a mental game to this.
After the break, this epic battle for Unlimited Gold will be decided. Voodoo or Strega. Don't go anywhere.
The STIHL National Championship Air Races are presented by Reno Tahoe. Check out visitRenoTahoe.com. Don't miss the 55th Annual STIHL National Championship Air Races. Tickets available at airrace.org. And brought to you by STIHL and the STIHL Lightning Battery System. What can you do on a single charge?
Gentlemen,
Start your engines!
Well, this is it, the ultimate moment that we have been waiting for. Ideally, you wouldn't want to miss a race during the course of race week, but if there's one no-miss race, this is it, the final, the ultimate gold race in Unlimited.
Past jet champion, shuttle commander Kurt Brown, still in search of unlimited gold. Sherm Smoot, several times the bridesmaid, never the bride. Feel-good story of the week, New Zealander Graham Frew. Flying the sweet-sounding Bristol Centaurus-powered Sea Fury, Mark Watt. Carrying on the Sanders family tradition, Joel Swager. Air race phenom, 7-time unlimited champion, Stephen Hinton. Last year's unlimited rookie, decorated combat veteran, Jay Consalvi.
7 planes are in this gold championship race, but as we've said, the real story is between these top 2 planes that have combined for 9 of the last 10 championships. Can Stephen Hinton once again take Voodoo to the checkered flag? Or will it be James Consalvi flying the famed Strega for the first time? It all comes down to this, and here we go.
Unlimited peace and flight race control, cleared onto the course.
Gentlemen, you're good. Gentlemen, you got a race.
Watch the drag race to the guide pylon. Our white airplane is 7-time World Air Race phenom Stephen Hinton in the world's fastest propeller-driven airplane with a recent record of 531.53 miles an hour. Right on his tail is an aircraft with 13 world championships in the hands of last year's rookie, decorated combat veteran Jay Consalvi.
Time to put all our cards on the table. Nothing we could say would be bad about the rest of the teams in this race, but this one, it's going to be about these 2 planes, front and center all the way through.
You know, it was a few years back, we thought the days of the fast Mustangs were behind us. Not anymore. Watch these guys go. That is race number 5, Voodoo out in front with race number 7, Strega, right on Steve-O's tail. Guys, we have a dogfight. We've got a duel in the desert that will go down in the history books. Okay, both engines are prepared by Jose Flores and his crew down at Vintage V12s in Tehachapi, California, so the engines are the same. Both airframes are highly modified North American P-51D model Mustangs, but you can't tell by the clipped wings, the cut-down canopy, and all the other secret modifications they put in. The difference could be the crew chief on this one, but right now, it's Steve-O Hinton giving a lesson in air racing to our decorated combat veteran, Jay Consalvi. Again, Steve-O Hinton is not only the youngest air racing champion on the books, he's also the most decorated with 7 World Air Race Championships, 3 in Voodoo and 4 in Strega, the airplane that's right on his tail.
These 2 definitely getting some love from the crowd. All the planes sound impressive here during race week, but there's something about the Mustangs in this unlimited class that just really drives people crazy. It is truly, truly impressive. Steve Hinton, Voodoo out in front, but not by much. Although these 2 have met twice already during the course of race week, and it's been Jay Consalvi taking the measure of Voodoo and Steve Hinton both times.
That's kind of been the surprise to all of us because, again, Voodoo was right off of that world record run over 531 miles an hour. We figured that was a gauntlet that they had thrown down and would carry into race week. It hasn't been the situation, though.
Already halfway through the 3rd lap. It has not taken long to tick off those first 2.5 laps. We're racing 6 laps during race week, but this one, the special race, the gold race, we're going 8 full laps around our 8-mile course.
Over 3 football fields per second. They are covering some real estate.
Your race is coming by the air. Come by, Graham.
Obviously, they're going to be overtaking the field, but keep in mind, they are overtaking the field at more than 100 miles per hour. The message they kept hammering home to these other 5 race pilots this morning in the briefing was hold your line. You'll be a stationary target to them. Don't move, hold your line. They will go around you, and boy, are they ever.
Strega and Voodoo, the 2 Mustangs out front. Really the only 2 Mustangs in this field, the rest of it populated by Sea Furies, the bigger, beefier aircraft, and 1 Yakolev. Strega, of course, and Jay won the first 2 races, and everyone's question of him after the races were, hey, are you being reeled in here? Are you being sort of lulled into complacency? I think he didn't feel that way.
You know, Tommy, I can honestly tell you as a pilot, flying formation is exhausting. I can't even imagine flying formation this close at over 500 miles an hour in the straightaways and close to 500 miles an hour in the turns.
You're just picking up with us. This is the unlimited class. That means no restrictions, basically, and they are the fastest piston power prop-driven planes you will find anywhere.
Okay, you can see how Jay Consalvi's flying his higher line. He's being mentored by aircraft owner Bill Tiger DeStefani, who was notorious for flying a higher line because he always had that in the bank. He could trade altitude for airspeed when he needed it. Okay, watch as Jay drops the nose down here as they enter the Valley of the Speed, off in the 9 o'clock position on our course. Here they come again, the two fastest piston-powered aircraft in the world, overtaking another aircraft in this race.
Couldn't quite pull it off right there. Striga couldn't get it done against Voodoo. Steve Hinton still out in front, but not by much.
Jay's able to pull it off and get by Steve-O. He's going to have to earn it because Steve-O flies such a great line. It's like the airplane's on a computer chip. Same place on the pylon every lap. But here comes Jay Consalvi, high and to the outside in Striga.
Getting closer and closer. Boy, we are eating up this 60 miles of racing here already in lap number 6, more than halfway through it at this point right now.
Once again, watch as Steve-O Hinton holds that line down low, in tight on the pylons. But then again, Jay Consalvi's got something in the bank. He's got altitude, the world's fastest piston-powered aircraft. You can throw a blanket over both of them. Folks, we haven't seen unlimited racing like this in years.
Jay Consalvi hasn't spent that money he's got in the bank just yet, but you can expect him to do it because everything is on the line. The winner of this race will stand atop the world of air racing.
Can't help but think that lap traffic is going to play a big factor in this. There's another example right there as it went by Graham Frew, our New Zealander. Okay, again, Steve Hinton's down low. He's holding his line. He's going to make Jay earn that pass if he's able to do it. They're running out of time.
Just on your right side, Jim.
You can throw a blanket over both of them, Tommy. Check this out on the backside of the course.
Unbelievable stuff in the final moments of this race right here. And you're right, that lapped traffic is a big, big issue right here. These planes are going in some cases 150 miles an hour faster than the planes in the lower tiers.
470 miles an hour in a turn. That's got to equate to a positive G's, pushing these pilots down in the cockpits.
You're running nearer and nearer, getting close to the white flag. The final lap is on the way. There's more traffic in the way as well.
White flag, white flag.
Three wide as they pass the Sea Fury. And that's the move Jay Consalvi's been waiting for. Look at this. He's now got a lead on little Steve-O Hinton in race number 5, Voodoo. Straga's now out in clean air. And this Mustang's barn sour. She knows her way home from this point.
Fire outside, 924.
And now the onus falls upon the shoulders of little Steve-O Hinton. He's got less than a lap to dig into his bag of tricks and see if he's got any voodoo left for Striga.
Never count out Steve Hinton, he being the all-time winningest in the unlimited category, and there's plenty of time to make something happen, although the start-finish pylon is looming big.
Look at these two beautiful Mustangs going through the Valley of Speed for the last time. Can Steve-O Hinton do it? The world's fastest piston-powered aircraft. One more pass. They will have lapped the entire field if they get by Joel Swager here.
Incredible, it looks like it's going to be Striga.
Unofficially, Straga's your new world air race champion, and they lapped every other aircraft in the field doing it.
No other way to put it. Everyone's waiting to get their breath after that incredibly exciting gold finish. Our steel power move of the day from the very start, the power of these two airplanes and the expertise.
Oh, no doubt about it. This race started the second they were cleared onto the course.
Coming down the chute, Steve got me. He pulled me, and it was an epic drag race. I couldn't believe he was going by me. So, you know, LD's talking to me, my crew chief's talking to me on the radio, and he said, stay your line, stay your course, we'll get him. We started coming up on lap traffic, and that was as challenging for me as I'm sure it was for him. And I think we were just able to monopolize on a hole. We got there.
No one's ever gotten by little Steve-O Hinton before. Only one to ever come close was the owner of Striga, Bill Tiger DeStefani. The last year he flew her in the races up here. I can guarantee he was in Jay Consalvi's ear through this entire race, keeping him where he needed to be. But right here's where it happened. When they went 3 wide, that was the door that opened, and Jay Consalvi stepped in and closed it behind him.
That was the moment. That was your STIHL power move for this incredible unlimited gold race.
It was amazing. It was incredible. It was, like I said last year, the closest thing to combat since combat. I have never had such an intense experience in an airplane, I don't think.
What a breakthrough moment. What a day for Jake Consalvi, breaking through and taking down the great Steve Hinton and Voodoo with Strega. Congratulations to these winners and everyone who participated this week, Race Week in Reno.
That's right, Tommy. The 54th running of the STIHL National Championship Air Races is in the books. Be with us next year as we return to the world's fastest motorsport, the 55th running of the STIHL National Championship Air Races right here in Reno.